Hi everyone, it's Lisa Brown with InkandInspirations.com. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and in this video we're going to be making this card with the beautiful Rooted in Nature stamp set and coordinating dies from the Stampin' Up annual catalog. So let's get started. Let's look at the cardstock we're going to need. I have a piece of Very Vanilla cut at 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm just going to simply match those corners up and fold, give it a good crease, and this is going to be our card base. I'll set that aside for now, and let's look at the other pieces we'll need. I'll need a scrap piece of Very Vanilla for stamping and die cutting. This is a piece of the Perennial Essence Designer Series paper, and it is cut at 3 by 4 inches. I have a piece of Early Espresso that is cut at 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. That'll layer behind that designer paper. This is a piece of copper foil cut at 3 3/4 by 5, and I emboss that with my die cutting embossing machine and the 3D Subtles Textured Impressions folder, okay? So it's got a really pretty, look at that texture on there. And then another piece of Early Espresso cut at 4 by 5 1/4, and the foil is going to layer over that. You'll also need a strip of Very Vanilla, about a 1/2 inch tall, by about 4 inches to stamp the sentiment. Okay, let's go ahead and start layering this so that we can get some of our pieces together. Then we'll do our stamping. So I'm using our liquid glue to adhere this foil over the layer of Early Espresso cardstock. Again, that's cut 4 by 5 1/4. This is 3 3/4 by 5 and embossed with a Subtles folder. Okay, and I'm going to press that down really well. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to take the smaller piece of Early Espresso with the designer paper, and I'm going to layer that over top. Now, at the time of this recording, I am not aware of the retiring list from Stampin' Up, but this paper is more than likely retiring. It's Perennial Essence. Okay, and that is going to go over top like that. And I usually center it on the card front, but I'm going to come up just a tad because my sentiment is going to be down here at the bottom. We can go ahead and adhere this because these layers are done until we get our stamped piece to put on there. So center it side to side and then a little up from the center there. Okay, let's set that aside and let that dry. And I'm going to take my scrap Very Vanilla, and I have this beautiful big oak tree stamp, and I've got Mossy Meadow ink and Early Espresso ink. And I'm going to show you how I like to ink this stamp up when I'm trying to do an image quickly. And so there are different techniques you can do, but this one is really easy. It's direct to the stamp, holding the ink pad in your hand. I'm going to stamp all over the greenery on the tree and trying to avoid the trunk down there. And so you want to be sure and stamp as evenly as you can. So I've got that pretty well inked. Then I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to take the Early Espresso pad and do the trunk down here. Okay, so now let's move this up and go ahead, and we're going to stamp that right in the center. And there we go, beautiful tree. Okay, so now I will use the coordinating die for this particular stamp and just center it there and run it through the die cutting machine. And I've already done that. I'm going to save this image for another card. And so I have it ready to go. So now I'm going to get the layers back in here, and I'm just going to play with positioning. Okay, so I've already stamped the sentiment. I already have in mind who I'm going to send this card to. It says, "Thanks for all you do." It's just a 1/2 inch strip, and then I usually just cut away what I think I don't need. So I'm going to trim that side just a little bit more. And then I'm going to add a little bit more stamping just to give it a little pizzazz. So I'm getting some scratch paper here, and I'm going to get the Mossy Meadow ink back in. And I have this leaf mounted from the stamp set. Going to ink that up. I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to come over and just stamp. Okay? Just gives it some interest and adds to the look, the continuity of the look with the leaves and the tree. Okay, so that's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and close this ink pad up. And let's get our layer back in and see how we're going to position this. This is going to go right there along the bottom, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the tree down. And you can see I had previously stamped on the back of this paper, or cardstock, I should say. But it's still good to go on the other side. And so I'm just going to come down a little bit and center that. Then I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece with our sentiment. We're using our multi-purpose liquid glue. And you see it's partially on the designer paper and partially on the foil. Okay, and I'm trying, this is going to have some dimension to it with the embellishments, so I'm trying not to put too much else there. So what I have is some of these coordinating leaves trinkets, okay, and at the time of this recording they're still available, so hopefully you'll be able to get those if you like them. I think they're just absolutely gorgeous. I've got some glue dots on the back of that, but first I'm going to add some of this copper trim. This is also in the catalog, okay? Again, not sure if it's on the retiring list yet or not. This recording will go live on April the 22nd. Yes, April the 22nd, and the retiring list is announced on the 21st. So we'll see. Okay, so you see I tied a knot, and then this is a kind of a really loose weave, metallic weave, and you can pull this and it makes such an interesting look. I love that. It's like getting a bow when you only tie a knot, if that makes any sense. Okay, I'm going to put it on a glue dot on the back and pick that up. And then I'm going to put this right there at the upper corner of that sentiment piece. Then I'm going to take my leaves and just tuck the stem just a little bit underneath there and give it a good press so those glue dots will hold it down. And then I'm going to take the card base, very vanilla, and that's going to frame that out nicely. Let's go ahead and put that on. And then I'll leave the inside blank so that I can write my note on the inside of the card. And there you go. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Please visit my website at inkandinspirations.com. Be sure and subscribe to my channel here so you can get notice of all of my new videos. And I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.